All right, so let's start with this video. This is from IFN where I was treated as well. And this girl right here, she was 16 years old and she had a traumatic brain injury from a car crash. And you can see the eyes are kind of not able to focus all over the place. And check this out. She was told there's nothing that could help her, okay? Very, very serious. And you can see the eyes are not able to look, you can go straight. So after 6 weeks at IFN, with the treatment plan, very intensive plan, she resumed back to normal life. Okay, isn't that amazing? That big smile. Okay, so this is Madison at age 4. She was treated for severe epilepsy at IFN. She could have up to 100 seizures per day. This is her first QEEG with IFN. You can see they put the cap on, and within literally within a week, 90%, the seizure rate dropped by 90%, which is incredible. All right, so this is a guy named RH, 12 years old, had a bicycle accident and had worse and worse, that deteriorated, leg pain, unable to walk, all these different things. And you see him, and his parents are being told that he's simply trying to get attention, And it's just so sad, So anyways, they started working on rewiring his brain. 6 months, now he's able to walk. 9 months of care, now he's jogging. And now he's back to living a normal teenage life, It's just really, really incredible. So, and this is the story of Sam at 18. He was quadriplegic from a severe injury to the neck, which left him quadriplegic. Very, very serious. Less than 1% chance of ever having any movement in his feet. After 6 weeks of treatment, look at that. He's moving his leg. Isn't that amazing? After 12 months, he's able to walk aided. But then now this is still after 12 months. And as you can see, now dancing his way to recovery, That's incredible for having a 1% chance. And using rewiring the brain, but also electricity up and down the spine. So finally, against all odds, Sam walks unaided. This is amazing. Okay, so this is the story of Ben, considered a problem child at school. He was diagnosed with ADHD, dyslexia, and had a lot of issues. Was just failing at school and unable to achieve the milestones. IFN identified that he had sensory confusion, which involved his eyes, not ADHD. Okay, very, very important. So after 12 weeks of treatment with IFN, he no longer suffered with anxiety. He's back to living a normal life, and he's winning like awards at school. So anyways, it's amazing what's going on. And all these kids, all these people are able to, like me, I'll show you pictures of me as well. But before I do that, disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. Information shared in this presentation is based on my personal experiences and not intended as medical advice. Always consult with a healthcare professional for medical concerns. Okay, so this was me, pretty bad shape, and I'll share more of my story. But as you can see, the video that I showed is from the Institute of Functional Neuroscience and Dr. Randy Beck, who's treated these. These are his patients. I'm one of them, of course. And the cool thing about this is the treatment he does is you can do it at home. So you buy the equipment and you put it on your head, and it's electricity that goes through your brain, through your neck, spine as well for me. But this is home treatment available over video calls. You don't need to travel to Australia where he's located, which is amazing. I'm a patient, but I do get referral commission. If you use promo code Bjorn, you'll get a discount on your first treatment. Check this out. So this is where I was at. You can see pretty bad shape. I mean, I'm telling you, I've tried almost every treatment out there. There's so many treatments out there for the brain, but there's very few that actually have worked. And IFN, Dr. Randy Beck, well, I'm so excited about it. Finally got me back. I'm not 100% yet, but I'm much better, as you can see. Let me show you the picture of what I look like now. Well, you see what I look like, but this is me. You can see where I was. Look at me, I'm no longer blindfolded, right? I'm making this video. I'm not blindfolded anymore. I used to be completely blindfolded. Panic attacks. My brain was stuck in panic mode. So migraines, electricity going up and down my spine, just freaking out constantly. Stomach was so bloated, it was crazy. And could not function, was in a dark room, blindfolded 24/7. That was my life. So my mom took me all over the world to these different treatment centers, and I tried like everything, like the craziest stuff, okay? But finally we got to IFN, and he knew exactly what was going on and rewired my brain using electricity, which is amazing. So that's what I'm going to share some more about now. The symptoms that they talk about is, so they rewire the brain. They don't deal with, they don't treat the symptoms. So they look at the symptoms, see what's going on, but then they find out, hey, what's going on with the brain? So they do brain scan. I'll get to that later. But so people with depression, fear, anxiety, addiction, and phobia, dyslexia, panic attacks, migraine, irritability, fatigue, sleep difficulties, mood swings, chronic pain, OCD, autism. A lot of kids with autism. There's a video of this kid who was pulled out of school because he wasn't able to meet the requirements. But then he went to treatment, and now he's back in school and doing so much better. So the symptoms that he's experiencing are just have improved greatly, where he's now back into school, which is huge. Okay, bipolar, PTSD, light sensitivity, sound sensitivity. I mean, I had so many of these. ADHD, concentration difficulties, Lyme disease, post-concussion syndrome, neck injuries, like you saw that guy was quadriplegic, traumatic brain injury, long COVID, stroke recovery, epileptic seizures, functional neurological disorder. That's basically you go to a doctor and they don't we don't know what's wrong with you, but there's something with your with your nerves, and then we're just going to put you as FND, functional neurological disorder. And then it's like, we don't know what's wrong with you, right? So that's what the case for me. Now, what I found out that I had a neck component too as well from an injury. So my C1 was pressing on the brainstem and the spinal cord. And that's why the vagus nerve is very, very important, because that's one of the first nerves that gets pressed on in the spinal cord of the cranial nerves. And it affects your heart rate, digestion, breathing, inflammatory responses, mood, anxiety, immune function, gut-brain axis, like all these different things. Very, very important. So my stomach was completely messed up. I could feel everything going down my stomach, the vibrations. It's like ultra sensitive. And I went to the doctor to give me a bunch of antacids, and I was like, this is not doing anything. It just made me worse. And then realized, well, it's pressing on the vagus nerve because if C1, C2 is out of whack. So I can send you some information more on that. Some medical doctors have documented this very, very well. Their way of treating it is different than I did. They popped it back in, and I had to do these exercises to get it stable. But anyways, I also had something called Lyme disease, which is a bacterial infection, which is not fun at all. But the cool thing about electricity, putting it on your head, is that it chases the bacteria out of the brain into the body, and it's easier to detox and deal with it in the body than it is with in the head. So here's another the stuff I've tried. I've tried traditional neurofeedback, and then low energy neurofeedback is a variation of that. Traditional neurofeedback, super popular. A lot of people do it. A lot of people get well, like they do a brain scan and then they watch a video, and the video rewarded based on how the brain is performing during that video. It gets dimmed out if their brain is doing what it's not supposed to do, and you get to watch it if your brain's doing what it's supposed to do. Very, very simple. This has been around for like 50, 60, 70 years. Usually put like screws in the head of people to measure their frequencies, but they don't do that anymore. And they put a cap on with sensors, and the technology is so good now they can measure the brain waves, which is fantastic, okay? Lens sends a little bit of electricity through the brain to reset, like if there's some trauma or whatever, they can reset that part and then be able to create new neural pathways in the brain. Transcranial, but traditional neurofeedback and then lens, it didn't help me. The reason for traditional neurofeedback is just not, you need a little bit of a nudge to create those new neural pathways, to create to rewire the brain. And when you're trying to do it internally like that, it's just not so easy. So a lot of people, it helps a lot of people, but a lot of people, it doesn't help either. So that's why I'm so excited about TDCS, which I'll share more about later. But it nudges the brain to make the changes that it's supposed to do to go back to normal, okay? Lens helps a little bit, but it's just not long enough. They just send a tiny signal of electricity through. For me, it wasn't enough. TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, a lot of people do that. A lot of people who are depressed do this kind of treatment. You put it on, usually they put it like on the prefrontal cortex. It's just on front left side here. If there's low activity, a lot of people get depressed, so they're like, hey, let's target that. But they don't, you look at the brain as a whole. And that's why you need to do a brain scan to figure out what's going on as a whole at the brain. It's very, very important. So you can just treating one place. It's like, well, what about the rest of the area? What if this is the root issue, the issue right here, and this is just overcompensating or undercompensating? So there's ways to look at that now to find out what is going on in your brain. And I'll share more about that later. Bioresonance therapy did that. Light laser therapy did that as well. Again, when you put a big pad of light here, infrared light, whatever it is, red light, infrared light, I've done it all. You cover so much of the brain. So let's say you only want to target this area. Well, you want to target that area. You don't want to cover the whole area. And that's why if you go after the whole area, you may be stimulating a place that shouldn't be stimulated. And that's the issue with that. Hyperbaric chamber, this is amazing. I've done that. Hyperthermia, the heat of my body up to 42.6 degrees to get rid of Lyme disease. Hypnosis, I've tried that. Medication, things with medication or meditation and also medication. When you take medication, you flood the brain with chemicals. So let's say one area is the main issue, but if you flood the entire brain, it's going to affect the entire brain. And that's why a lot of people sometimes have symptoms that are worse than what they came with after they've taken it. Meditation is not so easy to meditate. Sit still when you're in a state of panic, and your brain stem or your body is telling you like this is the end, because it's being pressed on the spinal cord. So when you have this kind of stuff, meditation is great, but it doesn't really do much when you're stuck in panic mode, which I was in. So anyways, then we finally have TDCS, which I want to get to. Yeah, I just shared this already. This is what it looks like now for those that are just listening. I want to, before I get into TDCS, transcranial direct current stimulation, I want to share a little bit about how kind of we found out about this place and how we got to meet Dr. Beck and IFN. So this is Carrick Institute, okay? They're fantastic. In the mirror there, you can see Dr. Carrick, incredible guy. He would treat all the NFL players, hockey players, professional athletes. They had anyone who had issues to the head, he would treat them because he was so good at this. And Dr. Beck worked there for 10 years. Okay, so one of the professors there, and so he worked there for 10 years. That's what he was trained. Amazing techniques. That's like really unusual stuff. Like you see in this picture, this boy has head injury, concussion. And his left arm is not working properly. So they're having a mirror there to cover up his left arm. And then they have him lift his right arm while he's looking at his left arm in the mirror. He's not looking at his left arm. He's looking in the mirror. So the brain thinks it's the left arm, but it's actually the right arm. So you're hacking the brain to think that it's doing something it thought it couldn't do. So you're just rewiring about resetting and be like, I am able to lift my left arm. And by doing these unusual kind of hacks, he's able to get movement in his left arm, which is amazing. So unusual, right? But all these people go there. Now, Dr. Beck was there for 10 years, but from what he wanted to get into brain scans using like brain maps, which I'll share more about now, using QEEG, and then also electricity using TDCS, which is fantastic. So that's why he left Carrick Institute, started his own thing, because they had their own techniques. This is what they wanted to do. But then Dr. Beck has taken these techniques, combined it with brain scans and with transcranial direct current stimulation, and the results are extremely effective when you combine those, okay? And that's why it's so powerful. Dr. Carrick Institute, everything they did is amazing, but it's like taking another step, or combining it with transcranial direct current stimulation and using QEEG brain maps. Okay, check this out. So, and that's why Dr. Beck is one of the first ones to do that. This is Dr. Beck right here. You can't really see, he's not a big picture, but he's one of the first one to do it. And that's why it's really, really remarkable. So let me show you a brain map. Okay, you can see these are the scans right here that are done. You put this cap on your head, it measures the brain waves. You sit there for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, eyes open, sometimes eyes closed. And then the computer will recognize the different brain waves at that time. And you can see this is the brain map. So just these round head to represent your head, and they're in different frequencies. Now, the key to this is that green is considered normal, right? But you see there's a lot of red and blue here as well. And I don't know how to read this. Some doctors know, some doctors don't. But Dr. Beck is one of the first ones to be able to read these or do these EEG scans and apply the techniques that he's learned to be able to tweak it to get the brain to behave the way it's supposed to, operate the way it's supposed to in the beginning. So if you look at some of these brain maps, the one place would be like for the immune system. The other place would be for like sensory issues like me. My brain wasn't able to process light. I was completely red in the back of my head. You could see some blue is too much activity. So you want to balance it out. But here the head is all completely blue, which is what they refer to like a functional disconnect. So there's all these different things, and he's the best in the world, one of the best in the world, to be able to look at a brain map and tell you what is going on in the brain. Okay, this area is not connected to this area. This area is not connected to this area. Or maybe all the areas in your brain are screaming for attention, and there's just so much noise, so there's just mass chaos, okay? So you want to get those brain waves and these patterns connected again, and he's the best in the world to be able to look at it and say, okay, you see this? This area is not connected to this area. That's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to connect this area so they're communicating better, or we're going to increase the speed here or decrease the brainwave frequency here. And then, and he's amazing at it. So that's the first thing to do, to do a brain scan. Then he'll show you these are the areas. He can't treat your symptoms, but he'll say, yes, there's a high chance of you experiencing the world this way because your brain is interpreting the world in these circumstances, right? So anyway, that's what he does. He's fantastic at it. And again, he's in Australia. You can do it over video call, which I get so excited about because it's like amazing to be able to get treated at home. I spent so much money traveling around the world, Germany, Canada, 2 months in California. I've been everywhere, spending thousands of dollars on hotels. That's without the treatment. So then just hotels, cars, you had to be driven back and forth. I mean, it was crazy. So to be able to do this over video call is remarkable. Like it's amazing. how much easier it is to get treated than the crap I had to go through for so many years. Okay, so this is Dr. Beck. He combines then transcranial direct current stimulation with multiple other therapies, some that he learned at Care Institute, and then some he's developed in himself. And that's why it's so powerful. So now you're probably wondering, what the heck is TDCS, okay? Transcranial direct current stimulation, all right? It's an emerging neuromodulation technique that provides safe, low-cost, and non-invasive means of modulating the brain, okay? Nothing scary, nothing dangerous. It's been around forever. Sends small amounts of electricity, tiny amounts for about 10 minutes, and then you rewire the brain that way, okay? This has been around forever. You buy the kits online. You can do it yourself. Don't recommend that. You don't want to mess up your brain. You want a professional, a doctor, to look at your brain and then put up a treatment plan. And Dr. Beck is the best in the world at that. So you don't want to go and just buy your own thing and just, it's very serious. Please just make sure you talk to a doctor about it. It's very, very important, okay? Your brain controls everything and you don't want to mess it up, okay? So what he does, see, this is, I'm just going to give an example. This is how DARPA hacked a science writer's brain and turned her into a sharpshooter, okay? So they took this lady who has no skill shooting, they put electricity on her head and helped her focus through the training that they do. And you can see here with the device on her head delivering electrical currents, AD, the journalist, science writer, went from a frustrated shooter to a skilled sniper. Isn't that amazing? So they trained somebody who couldn't shoot, but now she's a trained sniper. So that's how they train the military trains their drone operators, their snipers. Like, this is the technology that is used, okay? So it's nothing scary. It's been around for many, many years, but Dr. Beck is the best at applying that to people with issues like me, neurological symptoms, and be able to figure out the best way to treat them to get their brain back to normal, okay? So the military does it to train their soldiers, but he does it to be able to help people like me who have massive, massive issues. So this is what you do. You see the pads on the head. They send a little bit of electricity through one side and out the other. And so then you can increase or decrease whatever you need on that in that area. Some places your head is going too fast. Some parts of the brain is too slow. And you want to fix it. Now for the guy here that I showed, this is, they also put on the spine. They can send electricity up and down the spine. And I'm pretty sure they did that with the guy here. I think his name is Sam, the guy with the 1% chance of getting any movement because he had a spinal injury. So by doing that, I'm pretty sure they send electricity up and down his spine as well. They did that for me to be able to get that connection working again because I had an injury to the neck. But that's the ways of doing it, right? So look, this is what they'll do. You do a brain scan, you go to a clinic, you find a clinic local in your town. IFN will help you with that. You go there, do a brain scan, and then it takes you 30 minutes in and out. And then they send that to Dr. Beck. Dr. Beck will then do a report, like a consultation with you. He'll say, okay, this is your brain map. This is what's going on. Okay, this is what I see, and this is what I want to tweak. Okay, and these are the exercises I'm going to give you. This is what we're going to do. This is where we're going to put the pads, and this is how we're going to do it, right? And then every 18 treatments, you do 18 treatments over a video call like this, 30 minutes. And after that, then you have another follow-up call. You do another EEG, go another local clinic that they find, and you can do a scan, leave, and then come back and have a call with Dr. Beck again. And he'll show you your brain map. Like, this is what it will look like. Hopefully not like this. This is people with ADHD, okay? So you see it totally blue right here. So the markers to be able to tell if somebody has ADHD or not is quite distinct now. Like, they've done so many of these scans, so they'll compare somebody with ADHD and somebody without ADHD. And it's like quite obvious that, well, these people have a high chance of at least having ADHD, right? So then they'll look at all this blue. They'll totally blue. So, okay, we need to break that up. We need to get some more green in there. So they'll do specific things to be able to get the right frequency in the brain pattern in that area. So this is delta, theta, alpha, beta, high beta. You see high beta here and beta right here. So there's specific protocols to be able to adjust these things. And that's what Dr. Beck does. And so they'll look at somebody, like the comparison is to, all the people that don't have ADHD. And they'll look at all those maps or don't have some neurological issues. And they'll say, okay, well, this is what's considered normal, right? So then they'll try to get me or you or whoever back to that range compared to other people who don't have neurological symptoms. You have a pretty good idea of what normal is, right? Like, I was way out there, and to be able to get me back to normal was really, really difficult, but they were able to get there, and that's why I'm here without blindfold, okay? All right, so let's move on. So this is an IFN with Dr. Beck, Dr. Randy Beck. He's in Australia. We can do video call. And yes, I do get a referral commission by referring people. If you use a coupon promo code Bjorn, You get a discount on your first treatment. And the main thing is you can get treated at home. Okay. I've spent so much money, like I said earlier, traveling the world, hundreds of thousands of dollars in hotel bills, all that kind of crap. And now I'm like, finally, a place you can do it at home in your comfort in your home. And it's good stuff. So you rewire your brain. There's no promises. You never know what's going to happen. Okay, but people with like really serious issues, people with Parkinson's are seeing massive improvements. People with epilepsy, as you saw in the girl, people like stroke recovery, all these things that are very, very challenging. Okay, very challenging to deal with. People are seeing massive results. Even autism, a lot of kids with autism go there. And because it's like considered one of the best places to be able to get the brain functioning the way it was designed to before whatever happened and get it functioning again, and so they can improve their speech skills or whatever it is. But these things take time. It doesn't happen overnight, but at least you can go ahead and do a brain scan, and Dr. Beck will share what's going on, and then he'll be able to tweak it, and you'll be able to see what happens in your next call with him. So every 18 treatments, you do another session, brain scan, and then you do another 18 treatments, and you keep having follow-up calls, and you can see on the brain map, okay? You can see the changes, and then you start feeling the changes. That's what will happen to me. And it's really amazing. So if you have any neurological symptoms, I'm telling you right now, transcranial direct current stimulation, it's amazing the results they're getting. It's so much faster than anything else that I tried. And it's really getting like to be able to nudge the brain to do what it's supposed to do, get it back to its normal state and functioning. So if you have issues with speech or motor skills or whatever it is going on, then those areas will be restored, and the brain then technically is supposed to go back to normal, right? So the symptom are supposed to go away, and that's what happened to me. The more normal my brain became, the more the symptoms went away, and I was starting to experience the world like everyone else, not like, So anyways, let's move on and talk about